Can you spread a message without ever saying a word? The stage stood empty in Philadelphia as anticipation grew. Just out of frame, Kamala Harris had a folksy new running mate and enough delegates for the Democratic nomination. As she walked out to the podium, you could hear her candidacy before you could see it. It was the sound of freedom. Not freedom the idea, but freedom by Beyonce. The way an idea is packaged often matters as much as the idea itself. This year, as cease and desist letters fly throughout the country following campaigns like a flock of starlings, the art of the walkout song has taken center stage. The way they're used, the power they hold, and the messages they can carry matters. Otherwise, you wouldn't have the white stripes reuniting in a lawyer's office just to legally say so. The fact is, a song can shape a moment. In 5 seconds, a candidate gets a chance to brand themselves, a sonic logo to set the scene. Are they serious, silly, empowered, patriotic, or simply scoring points with a nod to the home team, playing John Denver to a West Virginian crowd to remind them that they are in fact in West Virginia? So today we're going to explore why they matter, what they can say, and what makes for a good one. And later I'll show you some examples of how major campaigns have used them in the past. But first, let's play a game. I'm going to play a sound and give you 3 seconds. You tell me the brand, the person, or the idea. Ready?
Are you ready, kids?
Aye, aye, Captain!
If you knew even one of those, their power is proven. A simple sound and a flood of emotions. Maybe you could smell the french fries on the ride home or thought you sat on your remote. Either way, I'm guessing something clicked. The sounds shaped associations. This isn't a political video, it's a messaging one. In the month before a big election, something happens inside my brain. A flip is switched and suddenly this is all I can think about. How all this information that's been readily available for years suddenly gets parsed through, focus group, tested, and sent back out into the world. Who says what? How all these fast-moving and developing campaigns rise to meet the moment, and how each candidate frames themselves amongst it. Where ideas land and where they fail. Sometimes the messaging is a carefully calculated cocktail from the consulting class. Other times it changes shape to where the wind takes it, following what lands with the public, like we saw with Tim Waltz and Weird.
Well, it's true. These guys are just weird.
An entire messaging groundwork shifting beneath our feet, the moment something sticks. Campaigns are the highest stakes branding operations on Earth. Billions funneled into increasingly melodramatic ads and automated texts from exes that just need $5 more to save democracy. For years I've worked as a creative in America's biggest ad agencies, so part of the fascination comes from knowing how much goes into the simplest, silliest things. It is a profoundly petty endeavor. The late night fights over whether that cardigan screams middle America or not to an audience that's busy scrolling on their phones. It would shock and depress you to know how many people have to approve that 60 seconds you're bound to skip. The millions spent on a snippet of a song from your mom's record collection. Which is why while the song a suit struts out to might not seem important, it's truly an insight into what's to come, or at least who they want to be. Music's played a part in American political campaigns since Washington first handed in his 2 weeks. Candidates used to rewrite folk songs as parodies like Weird Al in a powdered wig and commissioned corny originals.
For Tippecanoe and Tyler too, and with them will be Little Van.
You like Ike, I like Ike, everybody likes Ike for president.
So keep cool and keep Coolidge in the White House 4 years more.
But the walkout song is a curated pick, a needle drop in history, harnessing the power of popular music as it is, rather than bending to your will, is a modern art form. It's Reagan and Greenwood,
To be an American.
Clinton and Fleetwood. And each year, the stakes seem to rise. With presidential walkout music, you get to see campaigns create a vibe, a cultural connection, a reference to their ideas, or simply to the place they are. Music ties deeply to political movements from protest songs to patriotic anthems. It's one of the most effective ways to create a connection. And it's why politicians embrace endorsements, and it's how we get beautiful moments like Bernie Sanders saying "Soccer Mommy."
Let me thank Soccer Mommy for the music.
A Taylor Swift endorsement will have a VP wearing friendship bracelets at a national debate, and a Charlie tweet will turn a presidential campaign green overnight. In a whisper, it says, "I get what you get. I get you." It's why artists want control over when and how it's used. They know its power. It's used as a tacit endorsement that most brands would pay full mortgages for, so why shouldn't they be protective when it's used to shape a nation? In article after article, we see Trump using someone's song and a "don't do that" from a lawyer hitting his inbox before he makes it to the microphone. There's a very long Wikipedia page dedicated solely to musicians who oppose Donald Trump's use of their music. It's an occupation that votes overwhelmingly liberal. So while Kamala Harris might not be able to walk out to the Kid Rock verse and picture, she's free to pull from enough other artists to keep her name out of the headlines. Trump, meanwhile, is left to use Kid Rock's American Badass this year when he grows tired of the entertainment lawyers, just like Romney did with Born Free in 2012. In 2020, the Artists' Rights Alliance lobbied to try and make campaigns seek consent for the music used in political or campaign settings. It's often ignored, but the artists see the value of their art as a vehicle for change. And they are right to be fearful of politics co-opting that goodwill for their own needs. But now that we know why they matter, what makes them work? What makes for a good walkout song? When you move into the White House, you get "Hail to the Chief," but when you don't have access to the nuclear codes, you gotta get a little more creative with the aux. I liken it all to wrestling. To me, a good walkout song establishes a vibe, borrows goodwill and popularity, and lyrically lines up with the message to come. It places the crowd into context.
You think you just fell out of a coconut tree? You exist in the context.
It needs to be popular enough to set the scene over a crowd that can't quite hear it. Save the deep cuts for another time. Like a stadium anthem, this needs to make quick work over a screaming crowd. You might not hear Jack White's voice over a roaring arena, but Seven Nation Army always cuts through. So look to stadiums. What connects, and what does the DJ play when the crowd starts to sleep?
DNC! Turn out for what?
Trump found it fun to stay at the YMCA for most of his campaign.
So play YMCA. Go ahead. Let's go. Nice and loud.
Here we go, everybody.
The crowd participation, the simplicity, its popularity paired with the populist vibe he was trying to create. It's not political and borrows the goodwill and nostalgia for a crowd that skews older. He used it so much and was told to stop using it so much that SNL did a whole cease and desist parody to it.
Stop it! Yeah, I'm talking to you. I said stop it.
Context of the song choice is crucial too. The walkout song is not a one-size-fits-all selection. Historical, geographical, even venue context matters. Beyonce writes to arena tours, so her songs naturally fit amongst a hyped-up crowd. But take that same song and drop it against a potluck or an outdoor picnic, and it might seem out of place. It takes curation. When Biden walked out to a crowd in Ireland, Dropkick Murphys shipping up to Boston rang out.
Joe Biden.
It's a clip that seems like a parody or a fan edit at first, but it says this isn't just another president in Ireland, but an Irish-American one. Each choice can adjust to the era it's in. In 2008, Hillary Clinton walked out to Jesus Jones' Right Here, Right Now. But 8 years later, Rachel Platten's Fight Song was the campaign anthem.
Hillary Clinton. This is my fight song.
They can call back to other eras as well, with Trump using Reagan's favorite, Lee Greenwood's Proud to Be an American, as a consistent favorite.
God bless the U.S.
There's vibe, there's context, and there's also the chance for the lyrics to subtly say something before we even make it to the podium. Trump tried tapping Tom Petty to say, "I won't back down."
Won't back down.
Harris uses freedom to reclaim patriotism for the Democrats.
We choose freedom.
Freedom, freedom, I can't move. Freedom.
Bill Clinton used Fleetwood Mac's Don't Stop to show how he's thinking about the future. and Obama loved using another Stevie to remind crowds of the bills he signed, sealed, delivered. And at a visit to Morehouse, Bernie played Young Thug's Pick Up the Phone. It said, "I know where I am, I know what college kids listen to," and some intern probably sold it through as a way to remind the crowd to phone bank for Bernie. In 2008, McCain wanted to use ABBA's Take a Chance on Me, but didn't want to take a chance on their lawyers and settled for an original called Raising McCain. And sometimes the picks are just confusing, like when Trump walked out to the Titanic theme song and seemingly poked a hole in my entire theory. Sometimes the candidates just play a song that they like.
He ended up at one point saying, no one wants to hear questions anyway, let's just hear some music.
The former president just stood on stage for 30 minutes awkwardly while a greatest hits of his favorite songs played and people filed out of that.
Biden used to walk out to Coldplay's Sky Full of Stars because it reminded him of his deceased son, Beau. Look, these songs show how candidates try to convey themselves, but they shouldn't be taken as fact. They can be singing about peace and love on stage and warmongering in the motorcade back. I'm simply pointing in the direction of the little things that matter to how the bigger picture comes into view. If you understand how to critically look at how an idea or a campaign is presented, you can figure out the motives, priorities, and faults, and decide for yourself what matters amongst it. And the strategies they implement, you can see the coalitions forming and how you fit within them. A song matters, a logo matters, a typeface choice and a tagline matters, because a great message, poorly said, changes nothing. So pay attention to the way ideas are packaged. An informed choice requires participation and the ability to parse through the noise with a critical eye. A single song won't shape the election, but it will give you a glimpse into the small choices that shape large-scale priorities. And how they set the scene shows us how the story might go. So the next time the music starts, I hope this helps you listen. Thanks for watching. I'm Ryan Harper. This is Niche Nonsense. Subscribe for more video essays on the small, absurd things that shape art and culture. And I'll see you next time.